Hello, Washington football family, and welcome to another episode of the Washington Wrap. My name is Chad Ryan, and this is a single issue 10-minute format show where each episode we sink our teeth into one issue that's on the minds and keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening with Washington football, and we try to wrap it up in 10 minutes. So, in a moment, we'll start the clock, and this episode's topic is what the hell is wrong with this Washington football team defense, because there is far too much talent on this team for us to be seeing the kind of results we're seeing at the moment. So without further ado, we're going to start this clock. I'm going to bring in my co-hosts Chip Brierre and Felix Trammell. Let's bring them in, start the clock, 10 minutes. Felix, I'm going to start with you. Every year it's something else with this team, it seems like, but this year it's one of the more head-scratching ones we've had in a few years. There is literally like an enormous amount of talent on this defense for the Washington football team. We've got like 6 first-round picks, obviously a stacked defensive line, added some depth and some talent at corner. Our linebackers are better on paper than they're performing. What is going on? Because these results are, frankly, unacceptable with the amount of talent that we've got.
I think part of it is expectation. That was expected to be the backbone of the team, and the defense just hasn't been able to carry that pressure. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. First, I think it's bad schematically. We don't attack on defense. We don't take something away. We're kind of very reactive on defense. We play a very basic vanilla defense, and teams have been able to dictate how they want to attack us, because every first drive against us this season has been touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And the defense is kind of like, okay, what head spinning, and it takes them a while to settle into the game. So I think a part of it is schematics. Second is just players aren't together. And we saw that in the Giants game when the almost touchdown where Jackson thought he had safety help from Collins, and next thing you know, Shepard's running down the middle of the field and he just drops an open touchdown. So it's a lot of things, but I think it starts really with the schematics in the game plan for the defense.
Yeah, look, I definitely think it comes down to game plan primarily, and more broadly coaching. I have big question marks so far about what we've seen from Jack Del Rio, but we'll get onto that in a moment, because Chip, I want to raise something that we've seen in the post game. Having a look at the old 22 and getting a better look at what was going on in the game, and this pass rush, this front seven, which is meant to be one of the best in the NFL, and as Felix said, we can talk about expectations and stuff, but the fact is we've got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. These are 4 first-round picks. These guys who are meant to be able to win one-on-one battles against offensive linemen who were drafted in the 4th round, and they aren't. They are struggling. They cannot win the most basic of one-on-one battles. At some point, like, I don't want to say, do you blame the players and not the coaching? But like, how do you look at someone like Chase Young with all the weight of expectation, and we know the talent, and go, he is just not playing well? Like, at what point does that become unfair to say, and at what point does it become just the reality, and where are we on that scale at the moment?
If we get to the midpoint in the season, Chad, and Chase Young has yet to register more than 3 sacks, then I think we could start to have that conversation. But I think a lot of people that follow the Washington football team, that are fans of this team, got into drinking the Kool-Aid that this team was going to be the NFC East champion. They were going to go and win some playoff games, and they had done nothing to prove that they are a consistent contender in the division. Look, last year was a microcosm of Dak Prescott getting injured, the Eagles having difficulties with the quarterback position, and the Giants being the Giants. The first 3 teams this Washington football team has faced, they have great offensive lines. The Chargers went out and got Penei Sewell, and he has been phenomenal at the left tackle position. Then you had the Buffalo Bills, who, yes, may not be the greatest offensive line, but they're pretty good. They kept Josh Allen clean all of last year, and he was in the MVP conversation. Plus, all 3 of the quarterbacks they faced have had that ability to be mobile. So I don't think it's so much of they're really, really, really bad. I think that they do need to have their feet held to the fire a little bit because the expectation was that they would be a pretty good defense. But statistically, they rank near the bottom of the NFL in 5 different categories. It's something that has to change. And look, Matt Ryan is a bit of a turtle these days. He doesn't move that much. That offensive line is really bad. So this is the kind of game Washington needs defensively to show that they could still be a factor moving forward. This is a must-win game, not only because they need to get to 2-2 and avoid risking the potential of falling behind the Cowboys, but just to prove that this defense is still pretty good. Look, I said it last week. The Bills was going to be a wide margin. I think I was pretty on point there, but guys, don't throw the white flags just yet. 3 games in the season. It's the longest NFL season in history. There's a lot of games to be played, and Washington still has a lot of division games towards the back end of the schedule. I'm not too worried, but the concern's about a 5.
Yeah,
we're victims
alert,
of the
not
moment.
alarmed.
It's okay.
I'm alert
We're all
and not
victims
alarmed.
of the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think you mixed up Sewell and Slater for the Chargers, but your point is still well made. Felix, we touched on the coaching, and I think what's really frustrating for me, and again, this episode is focused on what's wrong with this defense. So by definition, we're going to be pretty negative. But Chip, I certainly take the point you just made on board. But some of the formations and the way we're lining up on defense are just infuriating. Like, you can see that the formations are not equipping us for success right from the snap. We're seeing these weird hybrid formations, the 5-1-5s and the like, where the middle of the field is wide open, and all it takes is for one guy to lose a step on his coverage, and then all of a sudden the safety's not there because his assignment is to come down to the flat or cover the deep, the middle of the field is wide open over and over again. This week we're facing Kyle Pitts, who has probably had a slower start than his rookie year he'd like to see, and a storyline I can just predict seeing this week is that Kyle Pitts, welcome to the NFL in terms of, his first big outing. How do we, close down how wide open the middle of the field has been for this Washington football team defense?
I think we need to use our players in the right way. John Bostic is a good NFL linebacker. Let me stop you right there. He is.
I agree.
He plays better downhill. We need to use him going downhill. Attack the run, have him blitz the quarterback. That's what he's good at. He is not good at dropping 15 yards in the zone. And we routinely drop him 15 yards in the zone, and he gets beaten. We need to use our personnel the right way. And I think that goes with a lot of phases. William Jackson is a press corner. Allow him to play press man. We have him doing off man, zone off. It's not natural.
12-yard cushions.
Yeah. So if it's a 10-yard cushion, all the quarterback's going to do is snap the ball and throw it out to the receiver. I was about to say San Diego. The Chargers did that all week 1. Justin Herbert saw Mike Williams with a 10-yard cushion, snapped the ball and threw it straight to him, and got first down after first down after first down. We need to just modify it. Press up on them. Press up on the receivers. That gives the line more time to get there, and then have the linebackers play downhill. And just trust your back end to have to go one-on-one. If what we did the first 3 weeks didn't work, let's change it up. And like Chip said, we're playing Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is not the mobile guy. If we come at him and hit him, we'll be fine. But that's something that we have to modify. And I think schematically you can do that. Stop having Chase Young or Montez Sweat drop into coverage. Their job is not, you don't pay them to cover. You pay them to rush the quarterback. Let's just do some stunts. Let's line them up on the inside. Just mix it up because we're too predictable on defense, which allows, the teams just know I can draw that over route across the middle of the field. It's going to be there all day.
Mm-hmm. That 3rd and 3 where Chase Young dropped into coverage was probably the highlight of my frustration against the Bills. That was infuriating. Chip, we're down to the last 90 seconds, so let me finish up with this question for you. How bad does it need to get for Jack Del Rio to think that his job is starting to be on the line? Because I don't think we're there yet after 3 weeks. Certainly, no defensive coordinator has been fired that early in the NFL in quite some time. But by all accounts, this is a defense that the team put expectations on itself to perform, and it's not at the moment. And we know Ron Rivera is big on accountability. At what point does this become a hot seat issue for Jack Del Rio?
I think he's got a pretty long leash considering what he was able to do last year. but I'll put it simply. If Washington's defense cannot get at least 2 or 3 sacks against Matt Ryan, then the conversation heats up.
It's going to be interesting. And, this being a single issue show, this is not our week 4 preview show. We're going to do that separately next. So we can talk about that a little bit in that show. But lads, 30 seconds, a bit of a 1 or 2 question lightning round for you. Who is the best player on this defense at the moment, based only on the form in 2021? Felix?
Jonathan Allen.
Chip?
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, it is. It's Jonathan Allen probably 1 and Deron Payne number 2, I think. And maybe...
Well, I think William Jackson's in there too.
Yeah, I think William Jackson is 3rd. But the point is, it's not Chase Young. It's not Jamin Davis. It's not Landon Collins. These are guys who have enormous talent. It's not Montez Sweat, and these are first-round picks as well, and really need to start seeing more from them. And, we've seen them say the same things. But look, the time is up for this episode. It's a big issue to try to wrap up in 10 minutes. What's wrong with this vaunted Washington football team defense? Hopefully we feel silly having had this conversation in a week or 2 from now when, things are back to what we hoped they would be, and the Washington football team defense is just kicking ass. But until then, as I said, we're actually releasing 2 episodes today. This is episode 1 of the 2 that are coming. We're releasing our week 4 preview episode shortly after this one as well, so look out for that. But just in case this is the only episode you listen to, you can find the Washington Wrap everywhere. Search for us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at the handles underneath our names here. I won't read them out today. You can see them if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening to the podcast, you can find our handles in the podcast description. Felix, Chip, always a pleasure talking Washington football with both of you, and we'll see you on our next episode.